full reviews, he's the hungry ferret.
Hi everybody. So today I have a box from Blue Apron. I've been using the service for quite some time now and wanted to share my thoughts with you. So we'll start with what you get in the mail. They ship the box to you with fresh ingredients inside. The box, from what I noticed, it does last a long time. You don't have to rush home to open it. You could definitely keep it there for like at least a day. All the times I have come home at night, the contents are still cold and temperature safe. They have gotten better with the packaging over time. They used to use a lot of foam and plastic bags. So let's take a look inside. In the box, they give you instruction manuals, a foil bag to insulate everything, and then you have the ingredients. This is kind of how it's stored in the box. These are all the ingredients that are within the box. All the ingredients are individually bagged and also pre-labeled. So items such as rice, it's in its own bag with a label. Same thing with onions. And pieces of vegetable. The eggs are packaged very well. I doubt these will ever break in shipping. Blue Apron generally gives you just enough of the ingredients to make the recipe, but be careful, they do occasionally give you a little bit more, so just be aware of that when you assemble. All the vegetables appear to be extremely fresh and arrived well. Blue Apron puts the tiny ingredients in these little paper bags. They're called knickknacks. These are basically the seasonings and the little ingredients that could get lost in the box. And here are the ice packs that keep everything cold. And they're still hard as a rock. The meat also provided are very high quality and fairly fresh. Occasionally I get some frozen meat, but that doesn't happen too often. Let's go over how they make the steak and eggs with quick kimchi fried rice. In the front, they show you the ingredients that you need to assemble. In the back, there's step-by-step directions with photos. Occasionally the photos are pretty good, but sometimes I wish there's a little bit more detail. So these are ingredients I assemble from the picture and from the list in the front. You have the hot sauce, sesame oil, rice vinegar, and the kimchi seasoning. They try to make everything under an hour. So usually they tell you to first boil water or cook rice, then they tell you to prep the vegetables. After you prep the vegetables, you start assembling them, and then you cook the meats to the directions. The directions are fairly detailed. It tells you how much time. They tell you roughly how long it will take to cook. So there are timing for everything. The tradesman meat is pretty good. Then I start making the fried rice. I dump in the quick kimchi slaw. Fry up the eggs. And plate just like the picture. This recipe is rated to be about 25 to 35 minutes. It took me roughly about a half an hour. So let's move on to what I think is the more medium recipe, and that's 829, which is the Dukkha Spice Cod. In my opinion, I do notice that they give you an easy, medium, or hard recipe with each pack. Again, all the directions are nice. They do list off the ingredients with pictures. This is actually day 2. The ingredients are still fresh. There's no wilting. There's no browning. I had some issues in the past with some really fresh ingredients, but they seem to improve upon that. The directions are written to be as efficient as possible. They tell you usually to boil water or bake something first before moving on to prepping the vegetables. This one actually has a little bit more ingredients than the other ones. It involves a little bit more prep work. I'm not quite as fast in that. From the recipes at Blue Apron, you generally don't need any special tools, but if you do have them, it does help. Just like zesting a lemon, they suggested to use a peeler. So in this recipe, they give you some more ingredients than you actually need. I accidentally used too much of the garlic, and I actually also cut up too much of the onion. I discovered this as I was about to assemble it. It's okay, because all I did was just save it for later. Blue Apron actually doesn't tell you how to cook, so you do have to have some knife skills and some cooking ability. But the recipes are fairly simple. Just like mincing onion, you just have to know that you mince onion this way. This recipe was supposed to take about 35 minutes. It took me a little bit longer because I had a little trouble cutting the beet and cooking them to tender. Breading also takes more time, so that's probably where I slowed down too. But if you break everything down into individual steps, it's not so bad. By now, you're probably getting the hang of how Blue Apron works. This is the third and final recipe. I didn't follow the directions entirely as accurate. I didn't want to use the oven to roast the sweet potatoes. I just did it over the stove with some other ones. The vegetable prep work was pretty easy. What took me a long time to do was the breading and the frying of the chicken. But it wasn't so bad. Again, all these recipes are fairly simple to follow. They pre-measure most of them for you. You do have to know some tricks to save time. And they don't quite tell you within the recipe packet. Blue Apron is not terribly expensive. Each meal is about $10 per person. When you receive a 2-person box for 3 days, it will cost about $60. These boxes are semi-blind. You do know what you're going to get, and you have an opportunity to change it. I enjoy Blue Apron, and it's something you might want to do. From the many deliveries I received, sometimes the fruits or vegetables may not be pristine. Generally, I found this to be okay because they often are chopped up and cooked. Another issue is that there is a fair amount of waste produced from this Blue Apron delivery box. They have been making improvements occasionally. Hopefully they'll continue with this and reduce it down even more. Online, it's easy to manage your account. You could change your schedule, you could cancel deliveries, and you can see ahead what you're getting. But if you let it go and you just schedule these on a regular basis, it could be a surprise. The recipes should never ever repeat. So every delivery is going to be a brand new experience. Cancellation is a little tricky. You have to email them to let them know you want your account to stop. You can also set them to not send you any more plates for a certain amount of time. When you get a chance, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.